Good day, my friends. Beautiful day out here, central Nebraska again. We thought since spring has arrived and we're slowly sliding into summer that we would start up our garden tours for 2022. And we'll be doing them around weekly if there's something to see. And we'll keep track of how the garden is going. So stick around and we'll do that. So some of you have been gardening for a while, probably got tomato plants that are 2 foot tall already. Especially out in California, you're probably picking tomatoes already. But here in Nebraska, we got to wait. And we waited a little bit longer this year because we had some unseasonably cold weather in May. Last year we started plants in a greenhouse the last week of March. And that ended up being a little too early. So now this year I waited till the first week of April to start our plants. And that seemed to work out a lot better. So I wanted to plant around just after the 1st of May. But we started getting that cold weather. But our tomatoes in the greenhouse still aren't terribly tall. And as they've gotten tall, I've been giving them away or planting them or whatever, giving the tallest ones away. So the ones we have in the greenhouse are still a decent size. So that'll probably be how we carry on for the moving forward, is starting around that time. Here's the garden. We've got some torrential rains over the weekend, 2 days straight, where the rain was coming down really hard, and we had a chance of getting hail. But we got very lucky and did not get any hail. So hail would have stripped all the leaves off of all these plants and we would have been had to start over. But you can see our kale down here is fine. We've got lettuce, and there's a lot of seeds in the ground which the hail would not have really hurt. Our tomatoes came out okay. You see we got some marigolds planted in through with the tomatoes. We've got some volunteer beans coming up out in the middle of the row that we'll hoe up. And then over here on these trellises, we have beans and snow peas on both of these trellises here. Beans on one, snow peas on the other. That looks like beans. Look, all of our beans came up. So happy about that. And it does look like we have some peas coming up over here. Let's look at the other side of this trellis. Oh yeah, all of our beans are coming up right there. We probably got some squash plants coming up down here maybe. You can see we've got a little flush of weeds going on, but here in the middle we'll just run our little rototiller through that, our little walk behind. And it looks like we need some more mulch right here on this side, and maybe down over there where the mulch was a little thin. You can see the weeds growing, but that's easy to take care of. We'll chop those out of there and throw some more mulch on. We'll be good to go. Now, if you remember our deer fence from last year, that's what these flags up here are about. Because they're offset from the fence, they kind of hang over. They mess with the deer's depth perception, and they don't think they can get over this fence. So the flags we got last year were very low quality flags, and they did not last. The wind just shredded them. Now my mother-in-law, she brought a string that's down there on the other end that they've had for years, that they used when they had yard sales and stuff. So she brought those up when she came, and then she had found these at another yard sale, but they're plastic. And even the rope they're on is plastic, and there's no cordage in the rope. I am so surprised these things are even still up here, because we've had some really good winds. But I have like 330 feet of brand new flags coming. I got a little spot here that doesn't have any flags in it, but they should be here within a couple days. And we'll get good flags up all the way around the garden so we don't have a problem. Here's our rhubarb here, kind of in an inconvenient spot, but here nonetheless. I bought some new rhubarb this year, the good red stuff that I like. This is more of a green rhubarb. Here you can see there's a little tinge of red, but it's mostly green. but lots of good rhubarb in here that we can harvest. So this third row over here is the only thing we have left to plant from here to that stake right there. And I have some peppers and some turnips I'm going to plant in there. And then our garden will be 100% planted out. So I'll go through with you what we have over here. So this first row here has regular zucchini here on this end. It's got the straight neck yellow zucchini on the other end. And then over here we have two types of watermelon. We got Sugar Baby and Crimson Sweet. We have cantaloupe. We have Blue Hubbard squash. We have butternut squash. And I think that's about it. Now over here, Kelly has planted some greens. And like I said, on those two trellises, we have beans and snow peas. We have all our tomatoes here on this cattle panel trellis. And we have 4 types of tomatoes. We have, let's see, Better Boy, Celebrity, Sweet 100, and a San Marzano. So you can see the tomato right there next to that post. And there's 4 of each variety. Now over here, I've got some seeds planted for some bell peppers and some jalapeno peppers and something else. I forgot what's down there on the end, but later garden tours, once everything starts growing, you'll see. And then I did some seed onions right here on this end simply because I had them. Now these rows that are opened up like this, as the plants grow, we'll pull that mulch in around the plants. And then Kelly's got some spinach and some kale planted down there, and also some, I think the flowers are called nasturtiums, something like that. I probably butchered that. But first garden tour of the season. This garden's going to look a lot different here in a couple weeks. Some of our fruit trees that we thought were lost are actually sprouting some leaves now. Late, not too late in the spring, but they had us worried. This is supposed to be a Bartlett pear here that I thought was gone, lost, but look down there on the bottom, we got some green. So once those limbs grow out really well, we just cut this top part off and that'll be a nice little tree. And then this one here is supposed to be a fruiting mulberry. The leaves look pretty close, but I got to wait till the leaves get a little bit bigger to make sure it's the right kind of tree. We got it from the neighbor, and he wasn't sure exactly if it was a fruiting mulberry, but we'll know once the leaves get a little bit bigger. If it's not, it'll go away. There's another peach we thought was lost, but you can see we've got green coming out on it. It's a happy surprise. And this one here has still yet to show anything. We haven't given up, but it's pretty late to be showing anything at all. But hopefully it comes out of it. If not, we'll buy another one. And then this peach over here did the best of all. It's got a nice bunch of leaves on it now. We're getting some curly leaf on the top, but that won't hurt the tree any. This wild plum or wild cherry, whatever it is, made a nice little tree here. However, we're getting some kind of fungus growing on here. Not exactly sure what that is, but some of the trees that were around here had that before. So I'm hoping we'll be able to prune that off later somehow and get rid of it. So we've got a couple little cherries up here that are forming. A couple over here. And then this cherry tree here, got a good show of leaves on it. Happy with this one. No fruit. It bloomed before we had that little frost, so I think all of those brooms were lost in the frost. And then here's the other Bartlett pear that the rabbit got and chewed all the bark off of down below. So I think this tree's lost. So we're thinking we've only lost 2 trees, which I'm quite happy with, because I thought we had lost a lot more. And then here's our cherry. Other cherry over here leafing out. It just had some blooms on it. You still see one of the blooms up here. Little cherry blossoms, and it's starting to leaf out. And our two existing apple trees, too early to see if we have any apples forming yet. This one here was in pretty bad shape. We're trying to turn it back into a tree. It was pretty seriously, it wasn't pruned, so it didn't get a real good shape, but as you can see, we're starting to get some more secondary branches down here that we can choose from and turn that into a nice tree. Like this one here has a beautiful shape. We pruned all the inside out of it, which is what you want to do on most fruit trees, like peaches and apples and such. Cherry trees, plum trees, I kind of just leave alone and let them go. Plums can get a little heavy, but the cherry tree will hold every cherry on the tree with no problem. Our little bench underneath our two giant apple trees. Both of these trees bloomed very well, so we'll probably get another good crop off of both of these trees. Remember the old song, "Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me." I don't know if you've seen our hives since we pulled the winter cover off, but these hives are in the shape that we got them. The bottom hive bodies are in a little bit better shape than the top boxes, but I've since got some updated boxes that I'm still got to paint, and then we're going to swap these boxes out. I also have like a repair kit coming. I bought 2 of them. Comes with a new bottom board, new lids, new top inner cover, and a queen excluder. So we bought 2 of those, so we'll have all brand new lids and everything on them, because these are in pretty bad shape, but it doesn't seem to slow these bees down. I was a little concerned about the far hive because it didn't have as much activity as its closer hive did over the winter, and now it seems to be kind of in reverse. The far hive is a lot busier, but we're not concerned with this closer one because there's still plenty of activity going on in that hive. So we'll get those hive bodies painted up, and when those parts come in, they probably maybe need a little paint too, and then we'll come out here and we'll swap out these boxes. Try not to disturb them as much as we can. We'll make sure all the frames go back in the same order. Now we're doing treatment free on these bees, and I don't take their honey. I let them have all their honey, and I think that's why they did so good over the winter, because they had their own food stores and they weren't eating sugar syrup, which I don't know if it has much value to them as much as their honey does. So we've let them have their own honey, and they seem to do very well. Here's our other wild cherry or plum or whatever it is. Kelly always has to remind me what it is. But if you remember, this area here was a gigantic mess, and we've pruned it all down. We've let one of the shoots come back. I'm thinking about letting another shoot grow up over here. Kind of have 2 trees here, but we'll see. I don't want to shade the greenhouse too much. And then our grapes had me worried, because when we got that freeze, we lost all the foliage on top of these grapes. But you can see where it dried up, the stuff that was already sprouted. But now we have new sprouts, and you can even see the grape clusters, a few of them, going on here. What I want to do is, when this grows out to canes, I'm going to take a cane this way and a cane that way, and we'll pretty much keep the rest, everything below down, pruned off. So we'll have a giant tall cordon pruned grapevine here on all 3 of these. Now this one so far isn't sprouting anything back. Well, there we go, right there. There's 2 of them. So we might get lucky with this one. Maybe we'll get a few more down here. But we were getting a good sprout down here that I thought maybe we would have to turn into the main cane going up. But doesn't look like all is lost. Maybe we could get their canes out of those. And then this one here's got plenty. when this grows out, we'll have a nice couple canes growing up here. So, quite happy to see that. There's our 2 pluot trees that I want to let the root system get a little more established before I transplant these out. Maybe even wait till fall. They're in good sized containers, so they will be fine. So maybe we'll transplant them in fall going into dormant season, and they'll have a lot better chance of surviving. Our eastern red cedar trees that we received from the USDA, they're growing. I'm making sure we don't give them too much water because I don't think they like a lot of water. So we check the moisture before we water them. You can see like this one over here has got a brown top on it, but the bottom of it is plenty green. These trees can take a lot of stress, so I'm not terribly worried about them. But I am going to bring a pallet out of the garage. We're going to put all this stuff on a pallet so I can move it around so when we mow. Still holding out for this tree here to see if it'll run some shoots out. That's that other pluot we got from California. But I'll give it 2 or 3 months, and if nothing comes out of that thing, we'll pull it, and then we'll use that bucket for something else. But our potatoes got burnt back in the frost. You can see that they're sprouting new growth. We got garlic in the first tub, onions and garlic in that second tub. We got an onion going to seed already over there. And then we have our roses that we dug up that are doing good. I'm going to take these other pots over here that are empty that we gave away. And I have those roses that are sprouting up in the grass over there. I'll pot them into those pots, so somebody will appreciate those roses. It's 118 in the greenhouse today because the sun is out in force. You can see we still have some tomatoes left. They're starting to yellow just a bit, so I mixed up some Miracle Grow and poured into those to green them back up a little bit. But just insurance in case something happens to those tomatoes in the garden. We still have these in here in reserve. They'll perk back up with that Miracle Grow. And we have our new rhubarb. I have our habanero peppers I still need to plant out. And then we have some chocolate mint and some kale. Kelly planted some more butter crunch lettuce. A little late in the year, but we might be okay. And then there's some cilantro and some dill. And some more flowers over there. But we're going to kick this fan on because it's warm in here. Need some of that cold air in from the outside. Our wildflower patch here east of the barn is taking hold. Little by little. Now when all of these flowers go to seed, we'll come through here with the brush hog, mow all of this down. It'll scatter those seeds even further. And then next year we'll even get a bigger flush of wildflowers. And I actually have some more seed to put out here as well. But you can see we still have some of the native grasses growing out here. And that's going to happen. So thanks for coming along on our first garden tour. I know there wasn't a lot to see out in the garden. But like I said, the next few weeks are really going to start showing up out there. You're really going to see the changes. So we love you guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Come back and see us here on Mark Kelly Farm. Catch you later.